Hi, I'm Dave Johnson. I'm going to talk about some of Marvel's comics due out tomorrow, Wednesday 22nd of April 2015. Okay, the first comic I'm going to talk about is Squirrel Girl number 4. As you can see, the cover is very Marvel vs. Capcom inspired. It's kind of what made me want to read this next issue. The series on a whole has been pretty funny. It kind of reads as though it's not actually part of the main Marvel universe, but it's also kind of pegged that it is. It's a good book. It's easily accessible for anyone. You don't have to read anything else in the Marvel universe. You could just pick Squirrel Girl up, get some cheap laughs out of it. Some interactions with Galactus in this which are just preposterous, but for this book it works. If you're into funny comics, it's quirky. It's definitely got a kind of superior foes feel, even though that did fit in the Marvel universe. It's definitely worth a read. I don't think I'll buy the trade, but it's not really my bag normally. I'm not a fan of the artwork inside. It's too simple for me, but you can see what they're going for with the book. Overall, worth a read. Next up, Amazing Spider-Man 17.1. This story is written by Jerry Conway. All these .1 issues are kind of side stories to what's going on in the main Amazing Spider-Man title. Obviously, I love the main Amazing Spider-Man book. It's written by Dan Slott, who I've said before, and I will go down as saying he's easily the best Spider-Man writer in the last 10 years. But this it's still a decent story. A lot of the threads that Dan had set up may have even been some of the filler writers actually, with the Wrath, the Wraith, even if you would pronounce it. It's kind of people filling the void since Kingpin faked his own death and escape during Superior Spider-Man. Tombstone's gone to prison, and now we've got other rival gangsters trying to fill the void in the city and become the new Kingpin. It sounds like it's just treading familiar ground, but the story's pretty good, as long as you've got your Spider-Man humour. There's confliction between how people are acting to how he thinks they should act. It's all in there. It's all very much the Peter Parker we know and love. It's not quite as good as the Dan Slott written stuff, but it's still worth a read. I think I will buy the trade when this is collected. It's got Tombstone, and it's got a lot of Phil Yorick as the new Goblin King, and he's kind of an interesting character for me, so I'll follow anything that he's in. I like that they draw the Tombstone big. That Tombstone head that's coming with an upcoming Chameleon figure will fit on a bigger body that I've got now. For all those people in ACBA watching, you'll probably catch the drift on that. So Amazing Spider-Man 17.1, good read. Give it a go. Next up, Star Wars number 4. This is written by Jason Aaron, who I was convinced was going to be the new writer for the Avengers title post Secret Wars. At the moment, we've only seen that there's going to be one Avengers title, which is All New, All Different Avengers, and that's written by Mark Waid, which is fair enough. He's a great writer too, but I do feel like Jason Aaron is one of the better, probably the best writers that Marvel have at the moment. This book is written excellently. It reads as though it's part of the Star Wars movies. The characterization has been absolutely perfect, particularly in this book, where even the tie-ins have got to stick to that kind of the parameters of the Star Wars universe that we know. Obviously this is set between episode 4 and 5, so we know what's going to happen eventually, but there's still room in there to kind of introduce new characters. There's a new character introduced in here who I want to know more about them. This issue in particular has got Darth Vader arriving on Tatooine to negotiate with Jabba the Hutt, which is really interesting, the way those two characters kind of talk to each other. It kind of draws parallels to Return of the Jedi when Luke meets with Jabba, but obviously it's a very different ball game here. The book's got some interesting character development as well. We've got Luke being conflicted. He doesn't know his place in the universe after destroying the Death Star in New Hope. On the last page we see a character who everyone loves. We always want to read more about. So I would recommend reading this book. I'm definitely picking the trade up for Star Wars as soon as that arrives. Definitely give this book a read. Okay, the last three I'm not going to be able to run through without hitting any spoilers. So if you don't want to see any spoilers, please switch off the video now, maybe watch it after you've read these comics. Excuse me. What I'm going to talk about is Black Vortex and Guardians of the Galaxy and all new X-Men. Okay, this is the final part of the Black Vortex crossover. Now, if you haven't been reading at all, the Black Vortex is a celestial mirror, which when you submit to the Black Vortex, you're given cosmic level powers. We're talking Phoenix Force level here. We've seen Gamora submit, we've seen Beast submit, we've seen Young Angel submit, who kind of became... He looks like Death. And I'm not talking when he was Apocalypse's Horseman, because this angel has never been that. This angel looks really cool. We've also seen Ronan the Accuser submit. We saw Thane, the son of Thanos, submit, and he froze the whole of Spartax in living death, as it's called. It's basically amber. And loads of broodlings came and tried to eat through the amber. So basically Spartax is at risk of being overrun by the brood if the combined might of the X-Men and the Guardians don't sort it out, basically. All the while everyone's trying to get the Black Vortex to get more power. We've also got the person who was originally submitted to the Black Vortex. She's an ancient of the universe. She's kind of come back and she's gave them an ultimatum with it. Kitty submitted to the Black Vortex and became a massive cosmic consciousness who could phase through the multiverse. She phases onto Spartax, contacts all of the other versions of herself and saves Spartax. It's kind of weird how it happens, but everyone's phased back out of the state of living death and everything is fine. The Slaughter Lords, who are kind of the villains of the story, trying to get the Vortex to disappear. The woman who was originally submitted to the Black Vortex gives everybody the opportunity to give the powers back or to kind of remain in the cosmic powered state. Now, Gamora decides to stay cosmically powered. So does Angel. But Beast, Cyclops, Groot and Iceman all give the powers back. I should also note that Kitty stays cosmically powered, but the four who give the powers back are told that they maybe still have some changes from before they were powered up. They're not going to go back to the original state. Now, Beast and Cyclops look the way they did before they were powered up, but they're told it could be something internal that's now different with them. Groot's got a new look where it's kind of got planty dreadlocks. I'm not a fan. Iceman is changed, he looks more like the Ice Cube look we kind of know from the 90s. Just have a little look there, that's that page. So it's kind of weird there. And then they're all celebrating, kind of out of character. It doesn't feel like everybody's really written the way they have been in the past. Star-Lord and Kitty are flying about in space, and Star-Lord proposes to her. Hasn't he been dating her like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and now he wants to marry her? Really weird. I wasn't a fan of this story. Okay, all new X-Men, number 40. this is there's a lot of developments in this issue. Obviously it's in the fallout of the Black Vortex, so the changes I've just discussed about those characters are still relevant here. The book opens up on Utopia. It's been deserted since the X-Men left post AVX. People have turned up thinking they're going to take all the technology and sell it, and those people are killed by whoever's still left on the island. But we don't see who that is at the moment. Flash forward to the new Xavier School. We've got the all new X-Men hanging about, just fresh from the adventure in space. Magic is kind of taking the teacher role now that Kitty's in space with the Guardians of the Galaxy. She turns up and Iceman's talking about how hot she is. Jean turns round and she's, "Why do you say things like that?" You know, Bobby is acting like he hasn't got a clue what's going on. So you know he doesn't know what's happening. She tells him that he's gay. A few pages go through of him denying it, but Jean's psychic, she knows he's gay. He doesn't understand how the older self isn't, but he is. Jean's making jokes about him being gay. She's saying he's unique, that's why he's different to the older version. And it's really kind of on the nose, and it seems to be just for headlines. I don't like how they've done it. It wouldn't bother me if it was a well thought out and organic story, but it was literally out of nowhere for the sake of. Now clearly this isn't one of those situations where they're going, Secret Wars is happening, we can do whatever we want with the character. The other Iceman is still the same Iceman, because they're not about to do that. That would just look really bad on Marvel's part. So they've kind of changed Iceman's character out of nowhere just to grab headlines. It's frustrating because there's plenty of good gay characters in the Marvel universe who they could have used without needing to introduce a new character that was going to grab headlines. So I didn't like that part of the story. What part I did like though was Angel. Obviously he chose to retain his Black Vortex powers. X-23's acting mad at him, so they have a conversation elsewhere. She's unnerved as why he's kept the power. He explains because he's seen his future self. He's seen all the bad things Angel's gone through. He's been a horseman of Apocalypse. He's been Apocalypse himself. He's died. He's been reborn. He's been an empty shell. He's seen that and decided he never wanted that to happen to him. So the first opportunity he got to massively change the way he was, he did. And that makes sense, and the design's cool. So Angel looks really good. I like that he kept that kind of design around. Whether that'll last, we'll see. Finally, the issue ends up back on Utopia. S.H.I.E.L.D. are going to investigate the killings that have gone on there now. And we see there's a remainder of mutants that have stayed over on that island since Avengers vs X-Men. We've got Elixir, what appears to be Boom Boom, Random, Karma, and a couple of other mutants who I don't really remember the names of. So it's a very hit and miss issue, but it's a must read. The story is obviously an attention grab. Okay, finally I'm going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy number 26. This is also dealing with the fallout of the Black Vortex storyline. Now this isn't a storyline I particularly enjoyed, and the previous story, Planet of the Symbiotes, hasn't been a story I particularly enjoyed either. But the culmination of both of those saw Jason, the King of Spartax, overthrown and embarrassed by his son, and the people in secret have voted for him to be the new president of Spartax. In this issue we see Peter and Kitty kind of celebrating the new engagement. The rest of the Guardians are drunk too. Emissaries of the Spartax Empire arrive, tell Peter he's got to come with them, and he's got to come alone. So he kind of shoehorns the Guardians of the Galaxy in his presidential council kind of thing. He says Drax is his Secretary of Defense. Rocket Raccoon's secretary, etc. It's quite funny. It's taken a bit of a turn. It's a bit more political than it has been. It shows promise. I'm hoping this story's going to be a bit good, because I've been a massive Guardians fan since around 2008 when Dan Abnett and Andy Lanham were writing it. Bendis' run started off strong, but it's kind of been a bit stagnant for the last 12 issues or so. So hopefully it's gonna turn out good. I've got faith. I will continue reading this. I hope you watch the next one of these videos. That concludes this one. Let me know what you thought. Comment below. Like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you soon.